Good evening. What's up, everybody? It's Comic Crack, and it's Sunday, and it's our weekly kind of a look at what we've read. Sorry, just this here feels like it's gonna fall out. There we go. Hopefully that's okay. Weekly look at what we read. I had, or we rather, had a yard sale this weekend. So with some of my earnings, I went and picked up a couple of books this afternoon as well, too, that I saw at McNally Robinson, the local bookstore here, Winnipeg homegrown bookstore. And I actually read one of them tonight, so we'll have a chance to talk about that. I guess we'll start with this since it's here in front of us. My comic shop around the corner from the office, the one that's unfortunately closing at the end of the year. Hello, Colin. How you doing? The one that's closing at the end of the year, he had some books discounted, and this volume of Black Sad he had there for, I think it was priced at $12 Canadian. We're looking at what, when it came out, $20 Canadian, so a nice few bucks off of there. I talked about it in the chat this afternoon too with Rasa, and there's not much more that I can really add to the conversation of Black Sad. If you don't know it, it's such a fun book. Oh, let's get somewhere where I can focus. There we go. It's such a fun book. This intro by Neil Adams I could have done without, R.I.P. But yeah, it was a little much. The characters are really just amazing. They're alive. They're fully fleshed out. Even the kind of secondary characters, and in this case, these writers that we end up following through part of the story here, or most of the story. I don't want to give too much away about this story overall, but this is a world, from what I understand, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong about this. The artist was worked in Disney, is that correct? Worked in animation, and you can really see some of that in the art here, just the kind of movement. And let's find the page. Here's one example of it. There's a real nice animated, lively quality to the motion and the body language in here. The art is just stunning. It's a nice side effect that the writing is also really entertaining, or at least I find it entertaining. There's always enough of a story, but again, even these smaller characters that may only last a few pages, I don't know if it has something to do with that animated background when it comes to creating characters and character design and liveliness on screen. This is the page that really jumped out at me. Beautiful. Like that guy is getting choked out. He is getting thrown across the room. There's no doubt about any of that. No doubt about it. It's really, really spectacular stuff. So, yeah, I mean, again, there's not much else to say about Black Sad. I love it. It took me a while to kind of jump on board. Oh, yeah, this first one has, 3 stories in it, I guess, hey? For some reason, this afternoon, I thought it was only 2, but it looks like there's 3 stories total. If you can find it and you haven't read it, just pick up any volume. I feel like it's that kind of book where you don't need to read it from the beginning to just dive right in. Beautiful, beautiful stuff from Dark Horse. Onto the floppies, I read the other one that I just finished tonight, Cowboy Bebop. This is issue number 4. This series had no business being so entertaining. I was really taken by surprise. I'm a huge fan of the anime. I've talked about it before. One of the first things I saw when I was exploring and watching anime Love the show. The Netflix show sucked. The episode or two that I saw, I shouldn't say that. I didn't like it. We never finished it. It didn't have the appeal to me. I question whether you can turn something that was an animated TV show movie into a live action anyway. And I think that the episodes that I saw kind of proved that a little bit. Now, that said, because I'm such a fan, I did want to try out the comic. When I saw some samples, I think I saw some pictures online, and then when I flipped through the first issue on the stand, I was really drawn into it. I really enjoy the style. Dan Waters and Lamar Mathurin, apologies. It's on this kind of nice glossy paper. It gives it a nice feel. It gives it a nice look. I think the color sits on the page really well. The story was pretty good too. Again, I find it it held true to some of what they would do in the anime, having these little one-off episodes, basically an overarching story, and then just these kind of 1 episode, 2 episode, 3 episode storylines. This one was kind of just a 4 issue. I imagine it's going to keep going because there's things in here that there's hints at bigger stories. So I'm guessing that it's going to keep going. There's my tag. But yeah, I think that this wrapped up pretty well. I don't want to do any spoilers, but this was a really, really fun book. Very, very surprised. I had zero expectations, so I'm really glad to see that it more than delivered for me. So very, very fun. I don't know if I'd highly recommend that book if you're not a fan of the Cowboy Bebop stuff. I wouldn't say that this is a good way to dive into it. I would say check out the anime. And if you're really, really curious, check out the comic. But I don't know if I'd drive people to it who might not know it otherwise. Shaolin Cowboy. I'd said to Rasa, and it does hold true even afterwards, thinking about it. I've always bought Shaolin Cowboy. I've been on board since issue number, I think, 2 of when the Burly Man stuff came out. 2 or 3. I remember picking it up off the shelf and immediately being drawn to it. In all those years of reading it, I think this is probably my favorite issue from my memory as it is these days. I think that this is my favorite issue out of all of the ones that I've read. Not because, so I mean, first of all, let's just get to the amount of story. Starting right off from the inside front cover and going the entire way through the book. Nothing else interrupting the story. And then we get the credits on the inside back cover. So this is a man who is taking full advantage of the book, the floppy format. I got the Frank Quietly cover. I do love me some Frank Quietly. So I couldn't resist. There was nothing wrong with the regular cover. It's just they had this one on the shelf and I really like it. And it was still cover price. So why the hell not? 499 cents. So I hit a moment of just pure shock reading this book. This particular issue did something for me that I don't think I've ever experienced to this level of comics. First of all, let's just take a moment. This is page 3 and 4, so it's far from a spoiler. Not that I think that there's much you can spoil in a Shaolin Cowboy. We have to throw a food stand in the middle of the desert just so we can have this car that's being driven by a tentacle of this alien sort of sea creature. So we can have a car drive through it and just completely fill the page with absolute chaos and carnage and detail and everything in between. It's incredible. And I mean, this is the reason we're here. I was also saying today that I feel like every series of Shaolin Cowboy has been narrated by an animal. I really do need to go back and revisit the earlier issues. So anyway, all of that aside, the thing that kind of blew me away and caused me to make a noise out loud was here. So We have our little continuing battle. He's now going to call in a flock of seagulls, and they're going to come down and start to attack. And we get this one panel to give us kind of a sense of things here. Oh, Nate Pancakes, how the hell are you, man? Thanks for joining us. And then I turn the page to see this. I don't think I've ever seen sound effects in the white margins and going all the way to the edge of the page. These pages, it might have been the hash talking a little bit, but it was also, these pages completely blew my mind when I opened them up. This entire scene just jumped off the pages at me in a kind of three-dimensional way that I don't think I've ever experienced quite the same in comics before. It only lasts a couple of pages. I was hoping that we'd get an issue with the seagulls like we had with the zombies, I think, which was in the last, was that in the last volume or was that the volume before? I don't remember, where it was just the fight for the rest of the book, actually for a couple of issues. I was kind of hoping that this would last for the rest of the issue. It only lasts these 2 pages, but my God, what a couple of pages these are. I mean, I'll give you a little close up there. It's just absolutely incredible stuff. This guy's imagination and just ability to tackle a page and then to do something like this. Like, it's not like this is a very scholarly kind of I don't know, breaking the mold kind of idea. I just want to put the sound effects at the top and the bottom of the pages. The effect is just incredible. I'm really, really taken by that. So no need to show you too much more. But I love this book. I love Jeff Darrow. Yeah, I mean, another one. I think people that are watching this channel are already on board with Darrow, so I don't need to say too much. One that I didn't talk about last week. Discovering Darrow as a young adult was on the level of when I first saw Perez's Crisis pages as a kid. Nice, yeah. Yeah, there's absolutely artists that have a different kind of resonance with you at certain periods. I didn't talk about this book last week. It honestly just slipped my mind. And the reason why it slipped my mind is because it wasn't very good. I'm going to keep up with it. I think it's 2 or 3 issues. I don't remember. I feel like I saw 2 more issues solicited, but I don't know. I don't pay that much attention. I was excited about this because it's Ram V, Christian Ward. The artist, there's nothing wrong with the art. It's mostly okay. I don't know. There's just not much here. I didn't retain much of it. I didn't find I really gave a shit. I don't know. Like I said, I do have faith in him as a writer, though. So I do want to follow this through the entire way. I'm surprised at how many of these Black Label books I've actually picked up. I felt like it was going to be something that would just be too gimmicky and not really of interest. But there's been a few good things. I'm still waiting. I realized also I'm waiting for that Swamp Thing book, the next issue or 2 of that one. I think they were solicited to come out this month. It's quite a length of time between issue 1 and issue 2, though. So that kind of surprises me. I feel like I'm going to need to reread this when issue 2 comes out, just to kind of refamiliarize myself with what the hell is going on. But then a part of me doesn't know if I care that much. So, like I said, I'm going to go for it, though. I'm going to keep up with it because it's such a short series. If this was going to be monthly floppy going on for 12 issues, I wouldn't be picking up issue 2. But since this is only going 2 or 3, I'll give her a shot. Heavy Metal Drummer, another one I don't have a ton to say about. It's fun enough. I wish it was more bonkers and crazy. Like, I wish they really ratcheted it up even more so. I could use that. I do like the art, but I don't know, man. If you're going to do something like this and call it Heavy Metal Drummer and have these kind of psychedelic imagery in the first issue or 2, I say just go for it. Yeah, no, the cover is outstanding, and that's the thing. Like when it hits the marks, it's fantastic. It's really, really fun. I just feel like they're holding back a little bit. Where just go balls deep, man. Just give her, just absolutely give her. Yeah, but again, I'm gonna keep up with this. I'm gonna keep getting it because I don't hate reading it. I do enjoy it. It's a very, very quick read, though. There's not much time that there's not much time I think he finds. This is, yeah, his grandma. He's saying it's his grandma prostituting herself there. Yeah, absolutely. The interior art, for the most part, doesn't live up to this kind of imagery. It does make appearances, though. So yeah, like I said, stuff like this, just go for it. Just absolutely go for it. Don't hold back. So yeah. Anyway, Behemoth, it's Heavy Metal Drummer. What is this? Issue 5, I think. Yeah, chapter 5. So I'll still keep going with that. These ones are two that I feel go very well together. And if I had Storyteller, this would be on the board as well. I'm just going to stop talking about these books. I feel like I've talked about them so much. This is excellent. This is fucking outstanding. I have 3 issues of this out of the 4, and I want the 4th, and I want to try to find. Rasa found a hardcover collection of this Dream Hunters that I need to hunt down. Really, such good storytelling. It's so good, so good. Dark Regions, out of the stuff that I've, well, actually, then we have the one new book to talk about. It'll probably be a shorter video tonight. This Norse one is by David Mack, I believe. Yeah, Mack down there. I really like his covers, especially for this Norse mythology. So when they're available, I do try to pick them up. I don't think I have all of his covers for this, but I really like his art and his use of color on these covers here. This is Rick McCollum, Dark Regions, issue number 1 and 2. I think this is 87. Yeah, February 87. A D&D kind of RPG session that someone decided to write into a comic, which I'm mostly fine with. I'm here for Rick McCollum's art. There's shades of it in this first issue. This first issue, he does his own inking, and I don't think it's quite there. I can feel him kind of finding his feet. But he's just not kind of in his zone yet. And then for the second issue, he had the letterer do the inking, and I think it really took things up a notch. There's a third issue as well of this that I wouldn't mind grabbing, but I'm in no rush to get it. These were my favorite pages. I talked about this afternoon as well on the chat. I love everything about these pages. I love the amount of black ink. I love this werewolf design. This lumbering, almost, I don't know, there's something Corbin-esque about that werewolf there. And I love the look of just using the white in a black and white comic to kind of signify this blood on its mouth. And I really enjoy this panel. Like I said this afternoon, speaking of buying comic pages, give me these 2 pages, please. I would take these. I would happily buy these 2 pages. I think they're really, really great. And I think we get a bit more of the werewolf here. Yeah. Still some good stuff, but I think those previous 2 are the hit in this particular issue. This one also feels quite a bit thicker. These pages aren't bad too, actually. So we get another monster battle, this time with a lot less black on the page, which I'm just kind of noticing now, flipping back and forth here. Similar cool effect, though. There's something about these creatures that's really, really nice looking. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that as well too, Colin. Yeah, absolutely. So fun stuff. I'm looking forward to anytime I can get my hands on more McCollum art. Yeah, I do like the guy. He's really left his mark on me, that's for sure. So, one of the books that I bought this afternoon was Boot Black by Mikhail from NBM. This one this was the first thing that I've read from him. I think these are the only two books that he's done. Giant, I can't remember who was talking about it. I believe it was Paulo and Gus, possibly, more than likely. Probably one versus the other, but I just can't remember. So apologies there, fellas. But this was such a good read. I really enjoyed Giant, and I enjoy it even more so after reading this Boot Black. This one was, yeah, a little heavier in the page count, and a tiny bit taller, which is a very odd thing there. Yeah, tiny bit taller. The storytelling here was really clunky. Really, I don't know, man. There was really no finesse or like that I found in the first story. In the first story, I felt like the entire thing read very smoothly, and we transitioned through time. We did flashbacks a lot smoother than in this one. Some of the dialogue is a little, I don't know, man. It's just not there. And I can't even really put my finger on it. There was just some sentences and some things that they were talking about through the book that kept making an appearance in the same kind of way. And it always felt like when they were saying it, it was every single time you were supposed to take notice of it, as opposed to, I think one of the terms that they use in here, these damn foreigners or dirty foreigners. I can't even remember what it was. This takes place in the 30s and 40s in New York. And the first time that they used it, our main character has a background. He's German, and he keeps that hidden from everybody. And he ends up going to fight in World War II. And he grows up in the streets of New York as a shoeshine boy, and kind of gets in, runs with a little group of guys that kind of start this gang and start working for the mafia. So based on that, tell me that doesn't sound like a fantastic story. It's a fantastic idea. It's a fantastic premise. The way that it's handled through here, though, just doesn't do that story justice. We just keep returning to things. So that idea of the foreigner, as the point I was trying to make was, the first time I can see, you want to make that point. You want to have that impact that our main character, who is actually a foreigner, trying to pass himself off as an American, for sure, you want to send that message home. But every single time it comes up throughout the book, which is a number of times, there's that same emphasis on it. And I just feel like it doesn't work. It loses its impact. You've now kind of diminished its impact. And just some of the time shifts and time jumps, they're just not very smooth. And when you do these time jumps, he does make a point of putting something in there to help you realize that it is a time shift. We kind of don't need that. We're seeing the visuals. I didn't find it very difficult to follow some of the characters once I got to know them. In this one, there was a lot of time jumps. In this one, I felt it was so smooth and so much more subtle than in this. So I gotta say, I was a little disappointed in this read. I was pretty damn excited about it, obviously, because I picked it up this afternoon and I've already read it. There were some really good moments for sure. There's this continuing relationship with this woman, Maggie, or Margaret. And again, it's another storytelling bit that really doesn't work like the way I think he intended it. She doesn't have any interest in him. And it's not a fact of she doesn't have any interest and eventually she comes around to see the light of day. She doesn't have any interest in him the entire fucking story. And I respect that. I like that instead of having this, he's now proven himself to her kind of story. She was right about him, so it just has so much going for it. I really wish it would have delivered a little better than it did. So if you're interested, I would recommend Giant. I'd say grab this one. This is a really, really fun book. Let's hope he's got some other stuff. What was this? 2021, I think, is when this NBM version came out. And I feel like it was like 2019 or something. Yeah, 2019, 2020 in French by Dargo in 2 separate volumes. So there's 2 chapters in here. Just read Giant. Give that one a shot. But I do like that there are these oversized hardcovers. Oh, sorry about that. The other one that I grabbed today, yeah, I can see that. I can absolutely see that, Nate. The Fabio and Eduardo Rizzo, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the cityscapes are and that's worth kind of really emphasizing. I mean, this one is about building a skyscraper. Rockefeller Center. Had a brain fart there. So it's about a crew of guys that are building Rockefeller Center and everything that happens surrounding a couple of the characters, specifically the character, this main giant guy. But the cityscape stuff is really beautiful. One of the other ones I grabbed was based off of Gus, Mind the Comics, did a couple of videos where he was showing us books off of his shelf as he was dusting and cleaning everything off. The Ballad for Sophie was one of those books. He was saying this afternoon in the chat, it was up for, I believe he said 3 Eisner Awards. And he showed some pages from this in his stream. And it really jumped out at me. This art style, I think, is beautiful. So when I saw this on the shelf, it really was another one of those no-brainers. There's some people on here. Well, there's a lot of you on here. I'll say that first of all, where if you guys recommend something, I trust your judgment on stuff. Gus was saying, I think in that stream, that he wasn't completely blown away by the story, but he did really appreciate the art. But even that, it's enough of a boost for me to pick it up. I'm not familiar with the creators, Felipe Melo and Juan Cavia, but the coloring is gorgeous. The character design is really intriguing. It has this nice kind of softness to it. This is the first time I'm really looking super closely at it. Feels like there's a bit of texture there too, hey, in the material. So that's really nice. The paper feels like it should be more textured than it is. It almost feels like if this would have been good at Nobrow, where they do their graphic novels with that very kind of textured paper. Do you know this one, Nate? So I'm looking forward to this. I might save this one. We're going camping for we're leaving next Sunday. So for the next 2 Sundays, I won't be around for the weekend chat or for the Sunday wrap because we leave next Sunday to go on a 10-night camping trip with the family. We have our spot at this place, Caliper Lake, that we've had before, and we're all very excited to go. So I'll probably be saving this one to read. It's a pretty beefy. How many pages do we got here? Oh yeah, and then I'll show you at the end here. So yeah, we're looking at 300 pages ish. At the end here, they have some extras, some character design, sketches. Looks like some sheet music as well too. A friend of mine is learning how to play the piano. Maybe I'll pass that on to him, see if he can read it and play me a tune. So I like, even when there's just a few extras, I do enjoy it. I do like seeing this kind of stuff. So yeah, Ballad for Sophie. Looking forward to it. And then finally, the very last thing. It's nice that you're here, Nate, because this is thanks to Nate turning me on to the existence of this Guy Davis magazine, Modern Masters Volume 24 from Tomorrow's. My comic guy was able to get this in for me. He said, wow, you're pretty lucky that this was still in print, because if this would be something that probably would jump in price, because it was still cover price. I didn't have to pay an exorbitant amount of money for it. This is fantastic so far. I've read the first 30 pages probably. One of the things that I'm realizing is that I need to give Baker Street more of a shake. I only ever read, the first one or two issues of Baker Street, but the way they talk about it in here and getting to know him as an artist and a creator, I definitely want to give it more of a chance. The only thing I would say about the interview itself so far, this definitely ain't the Comics Journal. These are pretty run-of-the-mill questions just to keep him talking. That's not a, yes, the Sansakai intro. That's not a criticism. It's just, that's the, I don't know. I shouldn't. I'm trying to word this so it doesn't sound really, really shitty, because I don't mean it to sound this shitty. There's different styles of interviews. This is one of those styles. I think that I'm maybe a little more used to, not that I've read a boatload of Comics Journal interviews, but this has a very by the numbers kind of interview style. Ultimately, that's fine though, because I do want to get into the information. This story was so good. He was talking about submitting to Eclipse Comics, and what's his name? Scott. What the hell is his name? The guy who did Understanding Comics. I have no idea why the hell I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, he drew some Zot to submit because he was looking for gigs. Come on, somebody say it in the chat. I can't believe I'm blanking on his fucking name. Oh, man, I'm looking around to see if I even see the book, and I'm just not seeing it. Anyway, he submitted some artwork, not necessarily looking to be an artist on Zot, but wanting to get the attention. Thank you very much, Scott McLeod. Thank you. You guys are the best. And instead of giving him a job, Scott said to him, like, you know, I do my comic myself. I don't really need anybody doing it, but here's a box of comics. I'm going to send you this big box of comics for you to check out, some artists that I think you would like. At a certain point, I'm going to send you a message to send it on to another artist. And he said he got turned on to like a bunch of European artists, even people like Mobius, through that. I find that to be such an incredible story. Hey man, we don't have a job, but I really like your stuff, and here's a bunch of stuff that you really need to look at, and kind of, you know, see if any of this resonates with you, because this is the kind of tip that we're on. So this is great. And I guess the other thing that I didn't realize was his transition from Baker Street into doing the Sandman Mystery Theater was very close. And it's funny to me because in my mind, Sandman Mystery Theater feels like it's years away from Baker Street, like years and years away. So I get the impression that his art style developed very, very quickly. Even just looking at this again, I want to get back into reading this. I'll probably bring this on the camping trip as well too, to dip into this a little bit more. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else he has to tell us, because I mean, even in that first 30 pages, we've really jumped into his career quite a bit. So, you know, part 4, guy gets more adventurous. He wasn't happy. He's still not happy with his art in Sandman Mystery Theater, is what he was saying. He has a hard time looking at it, I think, is what he was talking about. And I think that he feels like he might be that kind of artist where he's very, very self-critical of anything he's done. And I'm very curious to hear him talk more about the Marquee, which he was also doing at the same time as Sandman Mystery Theater. And if that wasn't enough, where is that thing? I found this again in my collection, the Blair Witch Chronicles. This is issue number 1 of 4, and it's Guy Davis doing the art in here too. So I put that on the reading pile. And that's another one that I want to make sure that I get the rest of the issues of and really give this a shot. I remember seeing Blair Witch in the theaters when it came out and scared the ever-loving shit out of me. So I'm looking forward to seeing Guy and Jen Van Meter, their take. I have not, Nate. No, I don't know that one. But anyway, I do appreciate the heads up on this magazine, Nate. That's it's really great. And just seeing all his stuff. The other thing that's ridiculously good about this one is, there we go, the Guy Davis art gallery. So you get pages and pages of his artwork as well too, and a nice big size. This is kind of like that European graphic novel size-ish, maybe a tiny bit shorter, but this is pretty good. Even some color work as well here. Oh geez, Rom. Hellboy fighting some Nazis. Yeah, so pretty great. Zombies that ate the world. Oh yeah, that's right. He was working with Guillermo del Toro as well, right? Yeah. So there you go. Some Guy Davis and some books. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out. It's good to see you all, and I guess we will see you in 3 weeks. I cannot wait to get the hell out of the city and set up on our campsite and get absolutely devoured by mosquitoes. It's been a long time coming. I'm looking forward to it. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, Nate and Colin and everybody else who's watching in the background. We'll talk to y'all later.